This is Mike Brewer behind the wheel. Automotive news, automotive advice, and tyre smoking fun. Join me, the Brit with the wit, and my car-loving co-host, Brad Fanshaw. So welcome to Behind the Wheel with Mike. I've got Brad in the studio with me, and we are going to be talking about two things today that are important, I think, at the moment. One is, do we want to buy a car that's been in space? That'd be quite funny.
It's just hard to get it back once it's gone up there, isn't it?
I just want the AAA on that. See, that's the thing, isn't it? I want Elon Musk to phone AAA and say, I've got a little bit of a problem with my Tesla. Is there any chance you can come out and recover it? I've got membership. You've got to come and recover it from wherever
Where is it, Mike? What asteroid?
Okay, yeah, so it is. And get this, right? As much as I like Elon Musk, and I think he's a genius, would you buy a car that's done 92 million miles? Because it's going to have... Surely he doesn't realise it himself yet, but that must be the highest mileage car on Earth, because it's
you're right.
Yeah, it must be, and I don't even think he's realised that yet. So that's a good thing to talk about. And the other thing to talk about is the popularity and rise in certain genres of cars when we go to car auctions. And me and you live in car auctions and car shows.
Yes.
Who would have thought, if we was talking 10 years ago, the popularity in pickup trucks and mid-size SUVs at car auctions would be where they are? I mean, now 20% more than they were last year in terms of prices at Barrett Jackson. They've just had a big auction at Scottsdale, and the prices of woodies and the prices of pickup trucks, just Bogo standard pickup trucks, are 20% more than they were a year ago.
And I lived it. I had a pickup truck that I built from scratch, every part. I sent it across at a feature time at Barrett Jackson, and I lost my butt on it.
Yeah,
but that was because it was back then. I should have held on to it.
Yes, that's right. You just didn't wait for the right time to come along.
Exactly.
So let's go back to the man of the week, really, Mr. Elon Musk. I mean, it's kind of incredible, isn't it? You know, let's talk about Elon from the beginning. So one thing that fascinates me about him is, think about it. You're Brad, right? Now, Brad, I know your shopping habits, right? I've been around you long enough to know what you get up to. You're constantly
Don't tell anybody, okay?
No, I won't tell anybody. But you're online looking for those special things. And these days, it's really easy to just, with your credit card online, you click your mouse and you just buy something. You give them your credit card details and the thing gets put in the post and it's on its way to you. Everyone's doing it these days. You can even buy a car or a house online. It's that easy.
You can buy anything. Yeah.
Anything, right? So think about this as a business model. If I said to you, right, I want to create a business with you, Brad, me and you together, the connection between the customer and the bank, i.e. you've got a credit card, you just want to shoehorn yourself in between that transaction, and you want to charge both the customer and the bank for having the privilege of being in between the middle of them.
I like this idea. Tell me about it. How are we going to do this?
Well, unfortunately, we're just a little bit too late.
Oh, it already happened?
Elon Musk done that with PayPal. And I just still don't get that business model. And we all use it. I use it every day. But somehow you go and squeeze yourself between, you buying a part for your Mustang and your credit card. And you just pay somebody else to pay that person rather than just pay it directly. It's bizarre. But it worked, and it worked so phenomenally, he managed to make so much money that now he's sending cars into space. And as long as me and you have known each other, and as long as we've walked this planet Earth, did we ever think that we'd see a car be jettisoned into space?
No, I never thought somebody was going to strap. I mean, in the past, what they did was when they were testing one of these rockets, they would put a giant concrete block in its place that equaled the weight of the payload.
A Volvo, you mean?
Exactly, yes. Or a mid-'80s Cadillac.
I mean, look, mid-'80s Cadillac. You just put that in there. I mean, look, I'm all for sending as many PT Cruisers into space as we can get off the planet, right? That would do, right? Just crush those suckers up and get them up there. But the genius of not only doing what he done, but think about it forever now that we are going to live on this planet Earth. There's a car up there in space just doing its thing, and it's always going to be spoken about. It's quite a phenomenal PR coup, isn't it, to be able to do that?
He did know how to wrangle just everybody's eyes. Did you watch it online?
I watched it. I was screaming at the TV. I was so excited.
It's because the way they did it visually also, it wasn't just a car strapped on or duct taped on. I mean, it had that Starman at the wheel, and they had all the cool things like on the dash.
Don't panic!
Don't panic, which is from, you know where that came from?
No.
It's Time Traveler's or Traveler's Guide to the Galaxy, a book.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hitchhiker's Guide to
Right, so I get it now. Now I know where it comes from.
And there were all these little things, and like the circuit boards in the car, they went back and redid them, and now they all say these circuit boards were made by human beings on planet Earth.
That's fantastic.
It's
fantastic. But think about you're like an alien. You're hiding around the back of Mars. You're just there lurking, hiding around the back of Mars, thinking, "There's that blue planet over there. We're going to get those. See those suckers over there? We're going to get those. We're going to take that planet over." And you're just sitting there hiding, and then around the corner comes a nice red Tesla electric with a bloke behind the wheel playing David Bowie, Starman at the wheel. You're just going to go as an alien. You're going to go, "Oh, let's leave them alone."
Okay, but do they think it's a gift that we're reaching out to them?
There you go.
Or do they think we're sending some really fancy missile? It could go either way, Mike.
It could go either way. But the thrill of having that being done this week, I think, is phenomenal. And hats off to Elon Musk. If a man can, this is really important for us to understand and for people to understand. It's countries that send stuff into space. This is a man that sent something into space. And I just think that's phenomenal. And he happens to have a pretty successful electric car company back down here in California.
And I've got to tell you, I've got a buddy who works at SpaceX. You're a rocket scientist.
Yes, fantastic.
And he goes, it's a lot nicer than it sounds,
Yeah.
And then my other friend, who used to stitch all the interiors in every car I ever made, and he's a Brit. He's from England.
Good man.
He's over there, and he is stitching up all of the stuff for them on the interiors of those spaceships and those new space outfits like the Starman was wearing.
Yeah, the lovely one that he was wearing. Very cool.
Now, but honestly, was the bigger news the car going up into orbit, or was it the fact that you can now buy a flamethrower from Elon Musk?
Yeah, apparently you can. I've heard so many things about Elon recently. You can buy a flamethrower, and he does this. Did you see the thing about the tablet? I don't know if it was fake news, but there was he's saying you're only using 15% of your brain, and there's 85% of it unlocked.
Right.
And that film Limitless, where the guy takes a tablet and his eyes change colour. Apparently, Elon Musk is marketing a tablet that releases the other 85% capacity of your brain.
I'll
be honest with you, if anyone wants 85% more of my chimpanzee brain, they are more than welcome to it, because all they're going to see is just cars basically. And
exactly.
That's it. It's 85% more cars up there.
It's where you've stored all the information that's clued in over the years.
Absolutely everything. Yeah, it's all up in that missing 85%. But yeah, fantastic news this week. So let's now talk about car markets and genres. So cars, and this is good because cars are cyclical, aren't they? They go through different generations. So for you being based here in California all your life, cars went through a period. So everyone went crazy for 1960s, Mustangs, Camaros. Everyone and Chevelles, they just went crazy for those kind of cars. The market got swamped, done, finished, out the way. It was every car got sold, every car got dragged out of a barn, every car got restored, it's done. And then people start to look at the next genre of cars. So they go, oh, well, actually, those 70s cars, they don't look bad now. Those really ugly Mach 1 Mustangs and those bigger, boxy Camaros, they were ugly cars back in the day and definitely during the 90s. But all of a sudden, well, actually, now I can't buy a 60s Mustang or Camaro. I'll buy a 70s one. And now all of a sudden, they become in vogue.
Have you ever heard that expression, it's so ugly it's cute?
Yes, I have. Yes, that's
those cars.
That's what my wife says about me all the time. She says exactly those words. So that is those cars. So now we're going through another phase, another period in time, which is me and you, we spend a lot of time talking about cars, being around cars. We're always at car shows and we get together and gas about cars. But when I'm down at the auctions, I'm always looking at what's happening in the car market. And the car market is always in flux. It ebbs and flows. Top-end cars at the moment, the the $25, $40 million Ferraris are on the decline. They're on the way down, those cars. Those big days of earning, $5 million out of one deal on a Ferrari, I think they're over those days. That bubble is slightly burst. But one market that's on the ascent at the moment, and it was evident when I was at Barrett Jackson, are pickup trucks. Everywhere. I mean, pickup truck was basically something that you gave to the farmer to go and put some hay in. And if he wanted to hose it out at the end of the day and go to Wendy's and get himself a burger, he could do. That was it. But now, pickup trucks just got this huge following, more so than I'd say at the recent Barrett than 60s and 70s Fords and Chevrolets. I'd say there were more pickup trucks than I've ever seen before.
There were, and you're already starting to see that kind of, they're pulling them out, like you said about the muscle cars. And did you see the ones that were dressed up with like a fake name on the door? Jimmy Bob's, tool and barn supply.
Yeah,
and,
there was one that was what's the guy who had the horse? Roy Rogers.
Yes.
There was a pickup truck with Roy Rogers and the native Indian on the other side of it, and it had no connection with Roy Rogers. It wasn't owned by him or had a connection with him. It just had Roy Rogers on the side, and the people on stage got on with a cardboard cutout of Roy Rogers and his horse, and all of a sudden people were putting their hands up in the air and going crazy for it because of some kind of connection to Roy Rogers, and it didn't have one. It was just dressed up to look like that.
I do know the connection, though. This was at Barrett Jackson, right?
Yes.
It was a little bit later in the day.
Yeah.
The connection is those 10 free drinks that all the bidders
That's
get.
what it is.
Yes.
That's what it is. See, it's funny, isn't it? It is the free drinks. It's the typical being in a casino. You're sitting there at the slot machines. Somebody's just pouring gin and tonics down your neck until you've just realised you've just bet your house on a free Lucky Bells turning up. So that market is just strange, and the way it's going through an ascent at the moment. Standing there 10 years ago, me and you, Brad, would have been there 10 years ago looking at pickup trucks, the odd 1, 2, maybe pickup trucks running for an auction block, and they would have been making 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 grand at a push. Now I'm standing down there and I'm looking at pickup trucks making 60, 70.
Big money.
Big money.
Now, I've got a feeling of why they're selling so well. What's your thought on it? And then I'll tell you mine.
Do you know what? I can't put my this is why I'm having this conversation with you. I cannot put my finger on it entirely. What I can say is that I think basically everything else is run out. I think we've just run out of 60s, 70s, 80s cars, and now people are looking at something else.
Well, the Porsche, that fuse burnt fast.
Gone.
I mean, Porsches went boom, and now they've gone through the whole run. But I think part of what it is that, there's all this backlash on, people being super wealthy and, overindulgence and stuff like that. What's kind of funny and ironic about it is the fact that it's guys who can be wealthy and super indulge, and they're indulging on a vehicle that will make them look like an everyday guy.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Like Marlboro Man. It's Marlboro Man in a car.
One of the guys.
Howdy, ma'am. Just turning up with your wagon. You got your gingham shirt on, your cowboy boots, you step out, you can flip a hat on or a baseball cap. Look like that Mike Rowe Dirty Jobs. Somebody rugged like that. You step out the vehicle, you're one of the guys.
If you pull into the local Cars and Coffee and you're in a brand new Ferrari or you're in some outlaw Porsche or something, a lot of the people look at you and go, yeah, okay, you probably didn't know anything about cars. But you pull in that right pickup truck, you got the whole Sam Elliott thing going, or the the Kevin Costner, and
exactly,
and there you are.
That's it. I think
and everybody they want to approach you and talk to you.
Do you know? I think you've nailed it. I think that's what it is. I need to get a little bit rougher and gruffer.
We need to get you a denim shirt. Baseball hat.
Yeah, but double denim. There's only one man that owns the rights to double denim.
Well, that's Jay.
And there's no way you can turn up. He's killed that, hasn't he? I mean, if you're talking about killing the market, you could not turn up anywhere in the world wearing double denim without somebody saying to you, you're just trying to be like Jay Leno, because you just can't do it.
I know. And you know what? But he pulls it off because he's authentic. I mean, back in the days, now, you know that I used to be business partners with Boyd Connington.
Yeah.
And we would have open houses at our hot rod shop. Jay would pull up, and now between our hot rod shop in, Orange County, California, and where Jay's shop is up in Burbank. In a classic car, it's an hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
Jay would pull up, I can remember one time in a Hispana Souza. And
say that again.
Hispana Souza.
Oh, I like it. Can you look over your shoulder when you say it? Look back at me.
And
have you had some of those free cocktails?
Did I say it wrong?
It's just nice.
Hispano Souza.
I just like it. It's nice.
So,
God, even Charlotte's blushing in the back. It's really nice, isn't it?
But he would be covered from head to toe in grease. And we'd go, what happened? And he'd go, I had to pull over to the side of the road a couple times and, fix it. And, I mean, every time. And he goes, I'll probably have to do the same on the way back. but it was authentic.
Yeah,
it was just Jay,
made him real. And he really is a great car guy. And let me tell you, he's got quite a collection of pickup trucks as well, and cars. Yeah. It's surprising.
Of everything.
That he hasn't put a car into space. There you go.
He hasn't.
He hasn't, no. And that's surprising, isn't it? If anyone was going to do it that we know, it would be Jay Leno. He would put a car in.
You know what, though? Jay, he values his collection too much. He'd go, no, I never get to enjoy it again.
No, it's very, very true. So we'd like to know your thoughts out there. What do you think are the changes to the car market? Do you think it's due to more men wanting to be like Rugged and Kevin Costner-like, or do you think it's because of market forces mean that all the other cars have gone and now people are defaulting to vehicles like pickup trucks? And tell us what you think about that Tesla.
Or do they just need a pickup truck to tow their other classic cars around?
See, that's it. That's the answer.
Another thing.
That's that. Well, let's find out from you, the audience. You can let us know through our social media. Make sure you connect with us. Hey, Brad, me and you, we're always on the road. We're always doing something. What if something was to go wrong on the car, right, and we was to have to pull into a garage, have an emergency stop, open up the boot, not the trunk, open up the boot of the car and lean in, go in for our favourite tours? What would happen? And that's why I want to pull over, because I want to talk to you about that right now, because there is a range of merchandise out there that's fantastic. It's Mechanic. You heard of Mechanic?
I know those guys. They're friends of mine, yeah, for sure.
Do you know what I like about them? Is that they're real guys. They're car guys. These are actual people that work in the workshop. These started off turning spanners and wrenches, if you like. Just like us, they started off in the workshop. They got bruised knuckles. They got dirt under their fingernails. But what they did is that they turned their skills in the workshop into a labour of love, developing a new range of products that they brought to the home mechanic and to the workshop mechanic, and it's called Mechanic, and they've got some fantastic stuff.
It's great. It's smart design. It's multifunction, and it's quality. I mean, that's what I like about it. And
yeah, I like it because it's sleek, it's powerful, it's quality, it looks good in the workshop. And when people say, "Where'd you get that from?" you can always say, "Car guy made that." It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, Mechanic, and you can find them throughout North America and in the UK.
Yes, how about that? You can get them in the UK, so you can put Mechanic products in the boot of your car.
Or in the trunk, whatever one you prefer. Hey, and you can find them at mycanic.com, and that's MyChanic. And if you want, on social media, at Mechanic on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Now, the good news is our car isn't broken. It was nice to pull over just to have that little interlude, but shall we get back on the road?
Let's get back on the road right away.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Okay, ask me a question.
Right, so there is a common language we use, right? It's called English.
Yeah, of course.
Right? I don't know if you know where I come from. I come from this little place called Great Britain, but the majority of Great Britain is this big sort of part of it. It's the country that's called England, where the English language was invented. And then over the years, we passed it on to you folks. Obviously, you got on boats and you sailed it across here. And then you've taken that lovely English language and then you've...
And we improved on it. Is this what you're leading up to?
I keep hearing Americans saying we've improved on it. So we're just going to sort of just open up a couple of those doors, because I just want to see where the differences lie. So let's just go for the car world at the moment.
Okay.
So first of all, when you, the thing on the bottom of your car, you got four of these big black hoops on the bottom of your car, you call them?
Do you mean the wheels?
No, the other things, the rubber
The tires.
Right, so how do you spell tires?
Well, the correct way. Tires.
See, now that to me says that you're tired, right? So that's how do you spell tired?
Tired.
Right, so there you go. Right, so we say tires correctly. Tyres. T-Y-R-E-S.
Tears.
No, it's tires. What's up with you people?
They say it. They say it the same way in Texas. They go, yeah, I got some tires on my car.
Yeah, tires.
Tires.
See, it's almost West Country. So that's one. So you've spelt tires wrong. You need to overcome that, right? Because seriously, driving around California, there's too many tire shops. But I reckon, the only reason I'm saying this, and it is a really good reason, is because I've just bought a job lot of wires that I need to sell to shops. And I've got all these wires packed up in warehouses. So if we can just get you to change from tires, T-I-R-E-S, to tires, T-Y-R-E-S, I've got some wires that they can put on their signs.
Just go to your eBay store and buy the wires.
Wires, yes.
Yeah.
And do you know what my business is called?
Why?
Correct, Brad.
Yes.
Hey, come on, it was easy.
Look at that.
That was easy. You walked straight into it, and that's what Americans do. Walk straight into it. So now let's talk about the obvious one. So when I'm making my show, Wheeler Dealers, I'm always talking in the English term, the correct English term, as in I am a British guy.
Do you call it the Queen's English?
Queen's English.
Okay.
So I'm a British guy in America. I'm not gonna start talking American.
You don't call ours the Trump English, do you?
No, oh dear. You could do the Trump English. It is perfect. So yeah, what would be Trump English?
Well, it's obvious. There's nothing better. It is the best.
Oh God, could you imagine? Anyway, so Queen's English. So when let's go from the a really obvious bit. So when I go and see a car, I approach a car. First thing I'm going to do, I want to go and look at that motor, whatever the motor is, whether it's a 4-banger, a 6-banger, or if it's got a V8, V12, whatever it is. I'm going to open up the thing that's covering the engine. What is that thing?
Oh, you mean the air cleaner?
No, no, come on. What am I going to do? Don't embarrass yourself. Come on.
So you're gonna pop open the hood.
Now, see, there you go, right? The hood.
Yeah, of course, it's the hood.
Right, so hood can mean a couple of different things in England. A hood may be a piece of skin that's not been cut off when you're...
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's one. Or hood could also mean it's the roof on a car, the convertible roof on a car. When you put the convertible roof up, you're putting the hood up.
But Mike, you just said the convertible roof. Why do you need 3 terms for it?
Yeah, but no, because it's the convertible top, right? And then you just pull the hood up. That's called a hood because it's soft fabric material and it's a hood, and you just pull it up. See, what you've done is you've given the engine a roof. Basically, that's what you've basically taken an interpretation of what is a roof, which is a hood, and then you've covered the engine with it and called the engine cover, rather than correctly calling it a bonnet, which it should be, you've called it a hood, which is technically a roof.
Well, why did they start using bonnet in England?
Right, because it comes from, I do believe it comes from the French. Who would, one of the inventors of the cars, I think you're fair to say, after the Germans, the French were very close behind, and they called it a bonnet. Because if you think about the most precious thing on your body, which is your brain, your head, that's the engine of all of us, and you cover it with a bonnet. I've just made that up, but it sounds really good.
A soft bonnet. See, we have a hood. We have a hood. You know, that thing closes with a crash, and it just covers everything. It protects it. It's a hood. And you know where that came from, don't you? From Henry Ford.
He called it a hood. So he's the one that named it a hood.
He looked at it as a community thing because he was trying to build the automobile into being something for everyone.
Right, gotcha.
You've heard the stories.
I have, yes.
And he said, by having something that goes over the engine, which, as you said, is the heart. He called it the heart and soul of the car, of the automobile. And he said that this was like the neighborhood, and he wanted to protect it with this, so he could. Did you fall for that one?
I just fell for it until you said neighbourhood. I was all the way there, and then I'm thinking, do you know what? It's like Pinocchio, sitting opposite Pinocchio. I'm sure Brad's nose is growing.
It was working for a while.
It was working for a while.
Through in the Henry Ford.
I was thinking, well, no, Henry and Ford invented a lot of things, but did he really invent the word hood? So where that come from, I don't know. But yeah, there is and we're often asked about it online, especially when I'm doing my show, people often say, why'd you call it a bonnet? The truth is because that's what I'm brought up with. I only know it as a bonnet. You guys only know it as a hood.
I wonder, though, seriously, if you look at some of the real early cars that came out of England and like that, they did have, like buckles and straps and things like that actually did kind of resemble a little more of like a hat or a hood.
A bonnet.
And maybe that's where it came from.
No, you just said hood, right? A hat or a bonnet is what you were going. But
I was trying to throw that in subtly.
You corrected yourself. So you edited your sentence mid-sentence. That was quite impressive. So that's that one. And then the other one that's funny enough, it's a word. There's a few words here we'd never use, but it's a word we'd never, ever, ever use in England. It's not part of our vocabulary at all. But you only refer to this one item on the car as that item. And you call it a fender, which to me is a guitar.
Oh, now that's a brand name.
Right, so that's a fender. That's the only way we'd know that word.
Yes.
We call it a wing. But then saying that, even the interpretation of it being called a wing is a bit bizarre because it doesn't fly.
Do you have flying cars in England?
No, we don't have flying cars. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is the closest we got.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, but it's not a... I don't know why we call it a wing, but then for the same sense, I don't know why you call it a fender.
Well, I guess I can see a wing because if you look back into the early 1900s, the cars really, they were swoopy. And, if you look at everything, from a Rolls Royce to a Delahaye to whatever it was, they had big swoopy fenders that could represent like a wing.
It could do, yeah. I mean, lots of them, I suppose, were inspired by the aeronautical world at the time.
Yeah.
Almost the invention of aeroplanes went side by side with cars, still does today. So yeah, I suppose that could be a reason. But which
is locomotives. The sides of the locomotives, commonly referred to as fenders, is probably the derivative of where. You're not falling for this one either,
I'm not falling for that one, no.
Okay,
well,
I tried.
I'm not falling for that one. So Fenders is one that's a bizarre one because neither of us have got the answer for why our countries use those words.
I think I just came up with it, though, Mike.
What, the lie?
No, I really think I have the solution here. The reason they call it a fender is because if you got in an accident and it was, a wing bender just doesn't sound good, but a fender bender sounds much better. Yeah,
but hold on. No, I've got you there because we call it a wing ding.
A wing ding.
Yeah, so you've had a little ding on your wing.
Yeah.
Yes. Either side of the pond that we're on, the insurance companies win. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So there's those two. So we got tyre. Obviously, you spelled that wrong. Don't forget to buy the Y's off of me. We've got hood. Obviously, you've got that wrong. We've established that the Americans totally got that wrong because you've basically put in a cover over the engine that you're referring to as a roof. So you got that wrong. And then we've just established, I think, wing is a better name because wing ding. So we're winning. I think Brit's
wait a minute. How did this calculation come up?
I don't know if you know, but this is my show, so I can say what I like. Right. So
well, wait till we get to the episode where we talk about driving on the proper side of the road.
Right. Well, we can have that conversation right now because I do believe driving on the proper side of the road is the correct side, which is the steering wheel would be on the right-hand side of the car, and the car would then drive on the left-hand side of the carriageway or freeway. And that was the way the car was originally intended and invented. And I do believe that was the way the Americans drove up until the early 1920s.
They drove that way till they realized a much better way. and they realized that they didn't have they didn't have freeways, they had tollways. And it was so hard to reach across to pay for the toll booth.
Just move the toll booth on the other side of the road. That's
they
bad
were already
excuse.
built. It was huge infrastructure.
Okay,
in America.
I've got a cure for that. You just roll up to the toll booth
backwards,
turn it and put it in reverse, and you got it covered.
No, but when you look at it, the majority of people are right-handed.
Yeah,
the majority of the people in the world are right-handed.
Yeah, so the gear shift.
So your gear shift, yeah.
I totally get it. In fact, it becomes a problem now when we talk about modern cars. It becomes a problem in modern cars. So cars like BMW, Mercedes, Audi, they all have this sort of computer iDrive system, which is basically a mouse that's down by your right-hand side here when you're driving a car. Most of those functions you need to operate the car, like adjust the air conditioning, or to get the demister on the screen, or to change the radio frequency or answer a phone call. In Britain, that is in your left hand, and if you've ever tried to operate your computer mouse with your left hand, you'll realise you can't do it.
I know, it's impossible.
It's impossible, right? So it is very difficult to operate, and that's why, genuinely, as a Brit, and I'm sure I'm not the only Brit that's going to say this, I much prefer driving a left-hand drive car than a right-hand drive car. In a sense, it is better. You've got some things about the way that you use the road network here with left-hand drive cars that are a lot better. But I do like the fact I'm right-hand dominant. Most people are, as you say. So I've got the shifter in my right hand. And I also like the fact, the one thing that I love about California and other places in America.
Other than the sun, you mean?
Other than the sun here is incredible. And the women and the food and the people and the fans and great. But no, the one thing that I do love is being able to turn right on a red light.
There you go. Yep.
It's genius. Why don't we turn left on a red in England? It's just ridiculous that we don't.
Well, you can turn left on a red light here.
You can turn left on a red light?
Yeah. Just ask my friend. Me? My friend Adam Carolla does it all the time.
Oh, right, but it's illegal.
Yeah, but he says it's a dumb law, so he does it anyways.
Turn left on a red. But turning right on a red is genius, and I do prefer left-hand drive cars. 2/3 of the world actually drive on the left, only 1/3 of the world on the right. Japan, some parts of China, Hong Kong drive on the right. Australia, Africa, they all drive on the right-hand side, the same as us, or on the left-hand side, but in a right-hand drive car, the same as Brits. But the rest of the world is all...
No, the rest of the universe. Yeah. Because as you noticed, Starman in the Tesla.
Starman, yeah, in his Tesla. Yes. Yeah, that's very good. Good
left-hand drive.
Good man, yeah. There's also, I don't know, this is true. This is confusing as well. Two stories. One of them is in Sweden. In I'm sure people are going to tell us, and they're going to correct me because I'm going to be wrong, but I think it was between 1967 and 1968, or it could be between 1968 and 1969. They also drove on the right-hand side of the road right-hand drive cars on the left-hand side of the road in Sweden, and the government decided to switch sides, and they did it one night, overnight. So everyone in Sweden was encouraged, this is in the late 60s, was encouraged to go out and move their road signs around, and the next morning everyone in Sweden woke up and drove on the other side of the road. And I found that out, and it's kind of really interesting, but when I found it out is when I was in Sweden, I managed to find a Volvo P1800E, an amazing car, and it was a 1967, and it was right-hand drive, but it was born, bred and lived in Sweden. And I'm like, why has somebody got a right-hand drive car here? Until it was explained to me, most of the cars were right-hand drive until that time. And the other interesting story is that when the maybe diversifying here, but the beauty of editing is you can cut any of this stuff out. Is great. But when the Argentinians invaded the Falkland Islands down in the South Atlantic Seas, the Argentinians were a left-hand drive nation. When they invaded, they turned up with jeeps and trucks, and they forced the islanders to turn all the signs round and drive on the other side of the road. The islanders are Brits, so they were driving on the left-hand side of the road, and they forced them to drive on the right-hand side of the road. And part of almost like a dirty protest by the English people, they refused. So they used to meet jeeps and trucks and personnel carriers coming the other way, and they would not get out of the way. Refuse to get out of the way and make the Argentinians go round them.
Stubborn Brits, right?
Stubborn Brits, yeah. Don't try to change the way we drive.
I know a couple of those.
Don't try to change the way we drive on the roads.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but I have a 69.5 Camaro. Okay, a Z28.
Yeah, you may have mentioned it once or twice.
It's very, very rare. No, I don't think you've ever seen this car. It's extremely rare. Yep. I imported it from Sweden.
Tell me it's right-hand drive.
No, it's a mid-year car. It's 69.5 center drive, because it was before they... it was built between the time of the right and the left-hand drive.
Do you know, this is the Brad's got this amazing ability to grow his nose instantly. It's just like it's sitting here and it's brilliant, because do you know what? I genuinely get suckered in by him. I genuinely do. He's got a mid
You mean you don't believe that I have a 69.5 Camaro?
A 69.5 Camaro that's like a McLaren F1 inside. It's got the steering wheel in the centre.
Oh, so you have seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've got one.
Yeah, isn't it great?
One. Yeah, I've got
one.
one.
Oh, you have one too?
Yeah, God, they're two a penny in England. Everyone's got one because we can't decide what side's best, left or right.
Just drive down the centre, right?
Just drive down the centre. Yeah, that's the way to do it. So, yeah, there are some differences. I'm going to give you one of them, though. I'm going to give.
Okay.
So, I'm going to give one, and I'm going to give it over. So, most cars today are made of a lightweight metal material you call
titanium.
Most cars today are made of a lightweight metal material called
aluminum.
Right. Now, we call that aluminium, and I'm constantly being pulled up for saying aluminium, and then I'm constantly giggling every time an American says
aluminum.
Right, but the truth is, see, I've always argued, and lots of Brits will argue, that you've ruined that word as well. But the truth is remarkably different. It's actually aluminum. That is the correct saying. It was the Brits when they got the when they found out what this new metal was. The Science Academy thought that the word wasn't sexy enough, so they put an extra L and an I in it and called it aluminium.
Aluminium.
Yeah.
It does sound. It's they could get more money by the pound for it if they called it
they
that.
sexied the word up, and that so actually the correct saying for that word is aluminum. So you can have that one.
You know what? I will say though, Europe in general has a way of making many words much sexier. I mean, we go over there and for my watch company in Switzerland, and our company is called Bonneville,
nice.
and they say, oh yes, your watch is the Bonneville.
Bonneville.
And, they just add syllables that extend it out.
Wonderful. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And you know what? We get a third more for our watches over there.
Of course you would. Because of Bonneville.
Exactly. The Bonneville watches.
I mean, trust me. Is it Big Mac or is it Le Big Mac?
Yeah, Le Big Mac.
Sounds so much better, doesn't it?
I know.
Sounds so much better. Funny enough, I've got a lot of ribbon online recently, and I've got a big social media presence online, and I like to engage with the audience. Some people get quite shouty and violent. There was an American, or not one. There was quite a few Americans.
No, really? An American that was loud?
Really? But it was quite shouty online. You know when somebody writes it in block capitals?
Yes.
You know that they're...
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
They're shouty.
Yeah.
They're shouting at you. And this guy sort of shouted at me in a way to say that when we had the Muck 1 on Wheeler Dealers, that I kept ruining the car and insulting his language by saying Mac 1. So I answered this guy in the politest way possible and said, well, let's just try and spell it in your head, shall we? Spelling your head, M-O-C-H, mock.
H?
Yeah, H. M-O-C-H, which is mock. Now spelling your head, M-A-C-H, it's Mac. And he didn't like that answer, nor did a lot of other people. And they really ripped into me because I corrected them. And it's also the same with...
Did you end up getting personalized plates for that car on the show?
No.
Because that was the biggest Mustang ever made. You could have had Big Mac on the plates.
Could have done. Oh, perfect.
Would have been awesome.
That would have been fantastic. Big Mac.
Yes.
That would have been great. And another one that they've ribbed me for... which I do get a hard time sometimes from people that say I don't say things correctly, is, I better not say it, it's too rude. But anyway, it was really funny.
Oh, come on, just say it.
No, it's in my head. Truthfully, it's in my head. But it's really good. I'll tell you another time over a cocktail.
Well, here, I'll just bring down the mics and you tell me. Come on, tell me, Mike. Are you kidding me? No, we can't say that.
Exactly.
No, we can't say that.
I mean, it could be, 4 inches, it could be 7 inches, but either way you say it, it's going to be, it's going to be rude.
Yeah.
It's going to be rude. Anyway, so there is a difference between our language. We do share a common language, but the weird thing is being car guys and hanging around car guys. Whenever I'm standing at a car show, whenever I'm hanging around people that have got the same interests as me, whether it is in America, whether I'm in Poland and can't speak a word of Polish, whether I'm in Germany, France, Sweden, Holland, it doesn't matter whether I'm in South America. As soon as we're standing around a car and we're staring at a car, we somehow speak a common language of
Yes.
the car guy. Whether it's with hand signals and pointing and doing things, we all understand what each other's saying. And that's the unique thing about car guys. We share the same love and enthusiasm no matter where you are in the world.
It breaks economic, political, and, as you said, borders of all kinds. Because if you like cars, you always have something in common.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what this show is going to be all about, because it's one of those things where every week they can tune in, get some great information.
Yep.
They can get some great news.
Yep. They can learn something.
Have some fun. You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like that Cars and Coffee we go to down on Newport's Balboa.
Yeah, it's good. It's great.
That's the same thing that happens there, but we're going to bring it into their ears.
Yes. And why not take, I think, your best motoring chat out on the road with you? Where else are you going to enjoy me and Brad than in your car? Just stick it in your car, drive up and down, whether you're on your way to work, whether you're on the subway station, on a train, on a bus. Just download this each week and just go and enjoy it. Just listen to us gas on about cars.
And you know what? It's the only way you can get back over to England without jumping on a plane.
It's very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, that's
by the way, I just want to rib you about one thing.
Okay, again?
Yeah, just one thing, right? So think about it. We put petrol in our cars. Petrol.
Yes.
Is what we put. We have a petrol station where we put petrol in our cars. You somehow have taken what is a liquid and called it gas. Well done, America.
Gasoline.
No, you call it gas, right?
Well, we shorten everything.
You've taken something that's a liquid and turned it into a gas. Don't try to fight your way out of that corner.
I'm just going to tell you, we shorten everything, Mike. It's one of those things where it's like, it's so intensely hard to be an American
to say Olean.
That we have to shorten it. It's,
you can't be bothered to say Olean.
It's like, I can't call you Michael. I would have to take a rest and, go to the beach. It's just Mike. So gas, if you got to go down to the gas station, think if I had to say gasoline station.
I stood the other day on when we was filming the other day, and I'm going to to one of the guys who's going to use my car. I said, it needs petrol. You got to go and put petrol in it. And he stood there and stared at me for, it must be 15, 20 seconds, vacantly looking at me. And I'm trying my hardest, because I'm in a rush to get going, and I'm trying my hardest to make him understand what I'm talking about by using only the word petrol. But I didn't think about it. I'm just being English. I'm going, put some petrol in the car, so you can need some petrol. The card's there to put the petrol in. I've got a card there, prepaid card. Go and put some petrol in it. And he's standing there staring at me thinking he wants me to go to a shop and buy him a can of drink that's called petrol or something. He didn't know what I was talking about until I went, gas! And he went, oh, you want me to fill it up with gas?
He finally set down, everyone, his fish and chips.
Yes.
And he said, okay, here's what I want.
Here it is.
Hey, find us online. Find us on iTunes. And, this is fun stuff.
Just engage. And if there's a subject you want me and Brad talking about, let us know what it is, and we'll gas about it. Gas, see what I did there?
Gas about it. I saw that.
We will gas about that to our heart's content.
See, in America, if you were gassing about, we would all be holding our nose.
Yeah. Michelle.
We're going to have to be very careful.
Yeah, Michelle. That's my wife, by the way. She is a vegan. Michelle.
This is international car talk at its best. So, hey, I'm Brad Fanshaw.
I'm Mike Brewer. This is Mike Behind the Wheel. Hope you enjoyed it, and keep engaging. Bye.
Bye. This show brought to you in part by Bond Speed Wheels. Bond Speed Wheels, machined in America for cars, trucks, hot rods, and exotics. We make wheels for your lifestyle. Find us at bondspeedwheels.com.
If you need to get in touch with me or Brad, you can do. Ask us any question you like about motoring issues or a motoring related thing. If you've got something that you want to do to your car and you don't know how to do it, you want to sell your car, you want to advertise your car, you want to buy a car, you need some advice, then please reach out to us. You can find us on Twitter at Mike Brewer BTW. See what we did there? Genius.
Is that for behind the wheel?
It is. There you go.
Wow, how did you come up with that?
It's so good, isn't it? And we'll see you all next week.
This has been a Bond Speed Media production from Circle B Studios. If you like this show, also listen to Shift and Steer, Man Seeks Adventure, and Dixon's Wild Ride. You can subscribe to them on iTunes or visit their websites. If you'd like to reach Bond Speed Media, you can do so at bondspeedmedia@gmail.com.